What's up, y'all? This is Brian Mazik, the feature columnist for BleacherReport.com, aka Franchise Play, aka the Big Numbers Guy. Talking a little bit of NBA today. We're going to talk about a couple rumors that have floated around, big names, as well as the NBA All-Star Game. The third postings have already come out in regards to the All-Star voting. The voting closed on Monday, so we'll be finding out shortly who the starters and reserves will be. Then also, I'm going to give out my personal mid-season awards. So let's jump into it, talking about those rumors. Now, imagine this. Do you realize that starting next season, or at some point during now and next season, the Los Angeles Lakers may very well have both Carmelo Anthony and Kevin Love. And obviously, we know the scenario around Carmelo Anthony. What could happen with him is easily he can, opt out, which it probably is, considering how bad the Knicks are looking. I mean, just look at, if you just recently, just take a look at the game against the Nets that took place on Monday. I mean, it was really an embarrassment. Melo came out and said, man, we didn't even fight. So it really just looks like he's just not satisfied with what's going on, and it's hard to blame him. I mean, they lost 103-80 in the game. The Knicks, for a while, it looked like they were maybe getting on the right track. They were getting a little bit hot, kind of got themselves in the conversation for a playoff, for the 8th playoff spot in the East, which is shameful in itself because right now Charlotte has the 8th playoff spot and they're 18-25. So I mean, if you look at the Knicks at 15-26, which is a full 2 games behind Charlotte, I mean, it's just not looking good, and this is obviously not what he's looking forward to or what he wants. So he may very well bolt. The Knicks could even look to trade him before then. We don't know what's going to happen, but the rumors about him going to the Lakers have been there for a while. We could see that happen. Now, one GM, actually an unnamed GM, says that everybody knows that Kevin Love wants to play for the Lakers. It would make sense. He's born and raised in California, went to UCLA. It would make sense. He can't be a free agent, though, until after next season. So in that situation, then the Timberwolves have to then make the decision. Are they going to try to trade him, of course, and get something for him because they realize they can't re-sign him? Or are they going to just take their chances and stick with him? So we don't know that, he's actually due. He has a player option for the 2015-2016 season. So next year he's on the books for $15.7 million. So technically he could be functioning as an expiring contract if the Timberwolves know for a fact that they strongly believe he's going to exercise his option to become a free agent and could leave them. So that's something they have to think about. If the Lakers are able, because the Lakers have pretty much cleared their cap space with the exception of Kobe Bryant. Now, of course, we know they gave Kobe the big extension or whatever. So, but aside from that, they've really cleared the way to go and grab 2 players of that stature. And both, Melo isn't 30 yet. Kevin Love, I believe, is 26. So they are in a situation where they can, once that, Kevin Love is 25. That Kobe's not going to be around forever. He's at the end of his ropes, probably 2 years at the most. At the most, he'll play. So you do need players that you can build around after him. So you don't want to go get 30-something veterans to pair with Kobe. You want to get 2 younger stars who can carry the mantle on once he's done. And Kevin Love and Carmelo Anthony would fit that void, would fill that bill. So we'd have to see what happens with that. Now, moving ahead, talking about the All-Star game, the actual third readings have actually already taken place. We know who was actually leading from each position once those dropped, and the voting ended on Monday. Dwyane Wade, Kyrie Irving are still the leading vote getters in the East backcourt. The front court, which of course we talked about how it's no center positions, just 3 front court positions, which is kind of crazy. LeBron James, Paul George, and Melo are there. So that's more than likely, unless something completely crazy happens, that's who the starters are going to be, because the next closest vote getter behind Kyrie Irving is Derrick Rose, and he's obviously injured and over 300 some odd thousand votes behind him. Next would be John Wall. John Wall is almost 400,000 votes behind Kyrie Irving as of the last reading. So I strongly doubt that gap was closed. Same thing with Roy Hibbert chasing Carmelo Anthony for the third spot. He's over 300,000 votes away from Melo, so he's not going to catch Melo. In the West, Kobe Bryant is the leading vote getter, and he's hurt, but could possibly, be all right for the All-Star game. Even though he stated that he knows he doesn't actually deserve to play in an All-Star game, and he thinks that the younger players should take his spot. But right now, he's the leading vote getter. Steph Curry is second. That's interesting though, because Chris Paul is actually third. Paul may not be healthy enough by that time to actually play in the All-Star game. If he isn't, if it went down to the next highest vote getter, then Jeremy Lin would then be the next guy, which would be just ridiculous. I mean, not saying that Lin hasn't played well this year. He's played decently, but wow, that just would not be that wouldn't be appropriate. But that's the way it could be, because Chris Paul is right behind Stephen Curry, and so we'll see what happens from there. Looking at the front court in the West, you got Kevin Durant. Actually, I'm sorry, Kevin Durant is the leading vote getter, not Kobe. You got Kevin Durant, you have Dwight Howard, and then you also have Blake Griffin. Chances are that isn't going to change either, even though Kevin Love is only like a little less than 17,000, about 17,000 votes behind Blake Griffin. I still think it probably won't change. So the starting five for both the West and the East should be, well, for the West it should be Durant, Howard, Blake Griffin, Stephen Curry, and Jeremy Lin, more than likely. Now for the East, it's going to be LeBron, Paul George, Carmelo, Dwyane Wade, and Kyrie Irving, unless of course somebody gets hurt, God forbid, or something like that. That will be the starting five. So we don't know. The reserves are picked by the coaches. I talked about this on my last All-Star video. Let's talk about it again, because I made actually a couple changes to who I think, based off of things that, the rosters, the way they're shaking out, and just some recent play. For me in the East, the reserve should be DeMar DeRozan. He is averaging over 20 points a game, really carrying a Toronto Raptors offense. After Rudy Gay is gone, he's really stepped up, and the Raptors are right there in the mix, in the middle of the pack to make the playoffs, and in a year that it looks like they were trying to tank. So DeMar DeRozan deserves a lot of credit there. The Bulls, Joakim Noah. I can't imagine where the Bulls would be without Joakim Noah. Right now, I can't imagine where they would be without him, without his energy, without his rebounding, the scoring that he's begun to do, his defense. It's nuts. John Wall is really stepping up, and he's about to take and turn that corner to be that great player, that really great point guard. He's on his way. Aaron Aflalo, I still believe, should be an all-star. He's not getting a lot of credit or a lot of attention, but he's averaging over 20 points a game for a bad Orlando team. Andre Drummond is averaging a double-double, a high double-double, and as well as blocking tons of shots, playing really well in Detroit. Roy Hibbert deserves to be an all-star, even though I think his rebounding numbers should be a little higher, but he is leading the league in, he is second in the NBA in blocking shots, and he is the key piece on arguably the best defense in the NBA. So you got to recognize that. And maybe this might be a surprise to some, but for me, Michael Carter-Williams is an all-star. I mean, he's second in the league in steals. He's averaging over 17 points a game, at 6.7 assists, I believe 5.4 rebounds. He is getting it done. He is a rookie, and he hasn't gotten his jump shot down and all that yet, but based off of the East, MCW should be an all-star. In the West, the reserves, Kevin Love is a no-brainer. I mean, he is, if the Wolves were having a better year, he'd be a true, real, solid MVP candidate. James Harden is one of the top 5-6 scorers in the NBA. He deserves to be there. LaMarcus Aldridge is also a top 10 scorer, the best low-post presence for one of the best teams in the league. DeMarcus Cousins is having an unquestionably solid, just awesome year. Boogie deserves to be there. Damian Lillard deserves to be there. 21 points a game, big-time clutch numbers. He's playing well. Anthony Davis is averaging 20 points, 10.3 rebounds, and leading the league in block shots with 2.9 a game. That dude is beasting, and he deserves to be an all-star. Now, Ty Lawson, I didn't include him last time, but he is really being extremely consistent as a scorer and a distributor for the Nuggets, and most things that go on with the Nuggets usually fly under the radar. But Ty Lawson is really having a great year, and I think he deserves to be an all-star. So that's my reserves. That's who I would say. Now, let's talk about the mid-season awards. Now, it was, like I said, 40 games through the season, so this isn't the end-all, be-all. But up to right now, this is who I would say are the mid-season awards. The most improved player, now this is really competitive. Miles Plumlee of Phoenix is killing, man, for considering what he did last year in his rookie year. Last year, he averaged 0.9 points a game, 1.6 rebounds. This year, he's up to 9.6 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks. That's like the biggest jump in the NBA. But part of the reason for that is because he's playing like 17 more minutes. So, yes, he has improved, but a lot of it's due to minutes. Anthony Davis is in the conversation because he has really improved across the board. Yes, he was a good player last year, but he's turning from being a good player to close to being a great player this year. But he's not my choice. My choice is DeAndre Jordan. Jordan is averaging career highs in scoring, rebounding, blocks, and steals. Now, he's still only making 40% of his free throws, but that's up from 38% last year. DeAndre Jordan has made, to me, the biggest jump from 1 year to the next of anybody in the NBA. So to me right now, he's the most improved player. The sixth man. This one's not so competitive because there's really not a sixth man that's really jumping out at people this year. But for me, it's John Henson of the Bucks. Now, he started only 14 of the 32 games he's played this season, but he's averaging 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2.2 blocks, and he's only playing 28 minutes a night. I think he's the sixth man of the year so far. We'll see what happens moving forward, but right now I say he's the sixth man of the year. The rookie of the year is probably no surprise, considering I said he is an all-star, and he's the only rookie I said should be an all-star. Michael Carter-Williams, to me, is a clear choice for rookie of the year. Trey Burke, Victor Oladipo are playing well. They are, but not like MCW. The coach of the year, Jeff Hornacek. Why are the Phoenix Suns winning? I don't know why they're winning, but they are, and they are in the 8th playoff spot in the East, in the West. If they were in the East, they'd be the 3rd seed, maybe. You know, it's crazy what he's doing with that team. Goran Dragic is leading the team in scoring and assist, and Miles Plumlee is leading in rebounds and block shots. I mean, if you would have told somebody that a team that had Dragic and Plumlee leading in major statistical categories would be a playoff team, people would laugh at you. Jeff Hornacek deserves the coach of the year right now. Defensive player of the year is DeAndre Jordan. He'd be my pick over Anthony Davis and Roy Hibbert. Reason being is because, to me, the key statistic is defensive rebounding. DeAndre Jordan is averaging 9.5 defensive rebounds a game. Not to mention he's leading the league in rebounding at 13.7. But 9.5 defensive rebounds a game, which means you get one shot, baby. You hit one shot. And yes, he's blocking shots too. Top 4 in the NBA in block shots, just like Hibbert, just like Davis. And also we know about how long and athletic he is, so he can defend off the pick and roll when he gets caught in the switch. Nobody's making a bigger impact on the defensive side of the floor than DeAndre Jordan. The MVP for me is, this one's competitive, of course. I still believe that LeBron is the best player, but I can't say necessarily that he's the MVP this season thus far. If you took LeBron James off of Miami, with Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh, the Heat would still be one of the best teams in the East. They wouldn't win a championship, but they'd be one of the best teams in the East. If you take Durant off of Oklahoma City, and considering the injuries that have happened with Russell Westbrook, the Oklahoma City definitely doesn't make the playoffs in the West. No way they do. And they would just be, they'd be close to an 8th seed, barely making the playoffs in the East. That's how much this team is down. I think Blake Griffin and Steph Curry are in the conversation, but Kevin Durant is leading the league in scoring. He's actually averaging more rebounds than LeBron. He hasn't had a bad year since he's been in the NBA, but he is really playing out of his mind right now. and the Thunder are 8-5 since Westbrook went down. So, and you know, you really can mostly attribute that success to Durant. So right now he would be my choice as the MVP. But we'll see, because there's still a whole another half of the season left to go. But those are my front runners for the end of season rewards, and those are the guys that deserve the mid-season awards. That's it for me. This was a long one, had a lot to say, but y'all stay tuned and subscribe, follow. Peace.